The celebration is at its peak. The music is swelling, and laughter echoes across the courtyard. But behind the scenes, a quiet panic is spreading like wildfire through the servants' quarters. The wine has run out. In first-century Galilee, this is not a minor hosting hiccup. It is an absolute social catastrophe, a public humiliation that will stain this newlywed couple's reputation for the rest of their lives. In the middle of this high-stakes domestic crisis, Mary turns to her son, Jesus of Nazareth, whispering 5 words that would set a cosmic domino effect into motion.
They have no more wine.
What happens next is usually told as a simple story of domestic rescue. But when viewed through a chronological lens, it reveals the opening gambit of a brilliant, calculated master plan. Jesus does not command the heavens to part, nor does he summon a legion of angels to fix the problem. Instead, he looks at 6 massive stone water jars sitting quietly in the corner, usually reserved for ceremonial washing, and gives a deceptively simple instruction. Fill the jars with water. The servants haul gallons of ordinary, heavy water from the local well, pouring it to the very brim. But the moment the master of the feast dips his cup into the jar and tastes it, the fluid is no longer clear and tasteless. It is a choice, rich, deeply complex vintage wine. Look closer at the hidden pattern of this first domino. Jesus chose to launch his public ministry not by raising the dead or splitting the sea, but by quietly manipulating subatomic reality. Without a single word of incantation, he bypassed the years of natural grape growth, fermentation, and aging, instantly restructuring ordinary H2O into complex organic compounds right inside a stone jar. By aiming his very first miracle at a provincial wedding crisis, the tactical target becomes clear. Jesus was declaring war on the barrier of human scarcity, lack, and social shame. He did not begin his mission by demanding perfection from humanity. He began by restoring their joy, redeeming their broken relationships, and proving that the very fabric of physical creation is completely subject to his voice. The master plan had officially begun, starting not from a throne, but from the micro details of a family's silent desperation. The scene shifts from the joyful celebration of a wedding to the grim reality of a broken world, where the dust of the Judean streets is thick with the scent of disease, isolation, and decay. The crowd presses in, a chaotic sea of desperate humanity, but Jesus is no longer just manipulating inanimate matter like water and wine. He has moved his target to a far more complex, deeply personal battleground, the biological canvas of the human body and mind. Imagine standing in the crowded porticos of Bethesda, where a man has lain paralyzed on a mat for 30.8 agonizing years, completely forgotten by the world. Or walking past the outcasts covered in rotting skin, screaming, "Unclean," to anyone who approaches. This is where the second phase of the chronological master plan begins, escalating from the laws of physics to a direct assault on the biological consequences of a fallen world. One by one, Jesus begins a rapid succession of targeted physical restorations. He looks at the paralyzed man and gives a shocking command. "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." Instantly, atrophied muscles expand. Ancient nerve pathways fire for the first time in nearly 4 decades, and the man stands. Next, Jesus encounters a man born blind, living in absolute darkness from the womb. Jesus spits on the ground, makes mud, rubs it onto the man's useless eyes, and tells him to wash. When the man wipes the water away, fully formed optic nerves and retinas suddenly flood his brain with light and color. The hidden pattern here is a deliberate escalation of authority. Jesus is not just performing magic tricks to draw a crowd. He is systematically reversing the decay introduced by the fall, organ by organ, tissue by tissue, cell by cell. He enters the spiritual realm with the same absolute dominance, driving out ancient demonic forces with a single word, breaking the psychological and spiritual chains that had kept human souls in agonizing bondage. The tactical target of Chapter 2 is the barrier of individual suffering and spiritual oppression. Religion at the time had reduced these suffering people to mere theological statistics or signs of divine punishment, but Jesus completely shatters that paradigm. He does not heal the masses with a vague, sweeping wave of his hand from a safe distance on a mountaintop. He stops. He looks into their eyes. He touches the rotting skin of the leper. This phase of the pattern proves he is a deeply personal savior, demonstrating that the kingdom of God progresses not through grand political movements, but one restored, rewritten human life at a time. The sky turns pitch black over the Sea of Galilee, and within minutes, a violent, screaming tempest traps a small wooden fishing boat in the middle of the deep. Waves crash over the sides, filling the vessel with freezing water, while seasoned, battled, hardened fishermen scream in absolute terror, convinced they are about to drown. In the hull of the boat, sleeping peacefully through the chaos, is Jesus. When they shake him awake in a panic, he doesn't panic. He walks to the bow, looks out at the roaring, lethal elements, and speaks to the wind and the waves as if talking to a rowdy child. "Peace, be still." Instantly, the wind dies. The raging sea drops into a glassy, dead calm. This moment marks a violent, shocking escalation in the scale of the chronological master plan. In the previous chapters, Jesus focused on micro-interventions, restoring molecules at a wedding and rewriting cellular biology in individual human bodies. Now, the pattern shifts into the macro-cosmos. Jesus steps directly into the realm of global physics, meteorology, and ecology, proving that his authority extends far beyond the human frame to the very pillars of the planetary ecosystem. Not long after mastering the weather, the scale expands again on a barren, desolate mountainside. Faced with a starving crowd of over 5,000 families and nothing but 5 flat barley loaves and 2 small fish, Jesus doesn't send the people away. He takes the meager resources, looks up to heaven, breaks them, and begins handing them out. In his bare hands, a defiance of the law of conservation of mass takes place. The bread multiplies faster than it can be distributed, feeding tens of thousands until everyone is completely full, leaving 12 baskets of leftovers to spare. The tactical target of this phase is the barrier of nature's hostility and the crushing limits of earthly resources. Ever since the fall, humanity has lived at the absolute mercy of a broken environment, terrorized by natural disasters and plagued by famine. By stepping onto roaring waves and multiplying matter out of thin air, Jesus was declaring that he is not merely a holy teacher or a local prophet. He is the original author of the laws of physics, thermodynamics, and gravity, and he retains the absolute right to bend, suspend, or rewrite those laws to protect and sustain his creation. The pattern was revealing a stunning truth. The cosmos itself recognized its master's voice. A wailing cry pierces the air outside the town gates of Nain as a funeral procession shuffles slowly down the dusty road. A grieving widow walks behind the open coffin of her only son, facing a future of absolute poverty and isolation. Jesus steps into the path of the procession, stops the pallbearers, and touches the makeshift stretcher. Looking down at the cold, breathless corpse, he speaks with absolute certainty. "Young man, I say to you, arise." Instantly, the dead man sits up, rubs his eyes, and begins to speak to his shocked mother. The chronological master plan has just crossed its most terrifying frontier, launching a direct, escalating assault on the final, undefeated enemy of humanity, the grave. Every empire, every conqueror, and every great mind throughout history had eventually bowed to the absolute authority of death. But Jesus was now methodically testing the strength of this ultimate stronghold, deliberately increasing the difficulty with each confrontation to prove that no stage of mortality could resist his voice. Shortly after reviving the young man on the road, Jesus enters the bedroom of a 12-year-old girl in the house of Jairus. She has been dead for hours. The professional mourners are already weeping outside, and her body has gone completely cold. Jesus takes her pale hand in his and whispers 2 words, "Little girl, arise." Her spirit immediately returns to her body, and she stands up, completely restored. But the definitive showdown occurs outside a damp, stone tomb in Bethany. Lazarus has been dead for 4 days. This was not a state of recent clinical death. Decomposition had already set in, and the stench of decay was heavy in the air. Jesus intentionally delayed his arrival to eliminate any medical ambiguity or hope of a natural recovery. Standing before the sealed tomb, he screams into the darkness, "Lazarus, come out." Within seconds, a figure wrapped tightly in burial linen stumbles out into the blinding sunlight, his rotted flesh fully reconstituted, his lungs pumping fresh air. The tactical target of Chapter 4 is the barrier of the grave. By pushing death further and further into its finality, from a newly deceased youth to a body decaying for 4 days, Jesus systematically backed the ultimate human terror into a corner. He proved that time, biology, and corruption mean absolutely nothing to the Prince of Life. The master plan had broken through every earthly limit, setting the stage for a final, cosmic confrontation that would shatter the gates of death forever. The ground violently convulses in the pre-dawn darkness, a sharp, localized earthquake tearing through the quiet garden outside Jerusalem. Heavy Roman seals are snapped like thread, and the massive stone wheel guarding the tomb mouth is thrown aside as if weightless. The elite guards stationed there collapse in absolute terror, paralyzed by a blinding flash of light. But the real shockwave isn't happening outside the tomb. It is happening within the dark, suffocating chamber of the grave itself. This is the definitive, crowning masterstroke where the entire chronological roadmap reaches its destination. All 30+ preceding miracles, from the wine at Cana, to the opened eyes of the blind, to the resurrected body of Lazarus, were not isolated events. They were the preview trailers. The resurrection of Jesus is the feature film, the ultimate paradigm shift that permanently redefines human reality. Inside the tomb, the linen shroud that had been wrapped tightly around a mangled, lifeless corpse suddenly deflates, lying perfectly flat on the stone slab. Jesus does not merely resuscitate like Lazarus, destined to grow old and face the grave a second time. He steps out into the morning air clothed in a glorified, indestructible, eternal body, a body that can pass through solid walls, yet still touch, eat, and breathe. He has not just escaped death, he has conquered it from the inside out, swallowing up its power entirely. The tactical target of this climax is the total, unconditional defeat of cosmic brokenness. By using his own body as the ultimate battlefield, Jesus allowed the full, concentrated weight of human sin, decay, and mortality to crush him, only to shatter that curse upon his awakening. The resurrection proves that the systematic restoration observed throughout his ministry was never a temporary band-aid for a select few in first-century Palestine. It was the permanent inauguration of a brand-new creation. The master plan had achieved its ultimate goal. The prison doors of humanity were torn off their hinges, and the light of an unshakable eternity had finally broken through. Step back and look at the entire grid. From the jars of wine at Cana, through the opened eyes of the blind and the silenced storms of Galilee, past the tomb of Lazarus, straight to the empty linen shroud in the garden. This was never a collection of random good deeds. It was a relentless, targeted, chronological rescue mission. Jesus did not come to help us escape a broken world. He came to methodically reclaim it, piece by piece, realm by realm, proving that every square inch of this reality belongs to him. This hidden pattern is not just ancient history or a fascinating literary puzzle. It is an ironclad prophecy of your future. It means that whatever is fractured in your life right now, whether you are facing the heavy burden of material lack, fighting a quiet war within your own body, drowning in the chaos of overwhelming circumstances, or paralyzed by the fear of loss, your pain is not invisible. You are already on his cosmic checklist for restoration. The empty tomb stands as history's ultimate guarantee that the pattern will finish what it started. The master who rewrote the molecular structure of water, reshaped withered limbs, and commanded the wind is the exact same master who holds your tomorrow. He has never lost control. He has never missed a step, and he will not stop until every broken piece of your story and of this universe is made completely, beautifully, and gloriously new.